What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Humble Way checking in with you. I want to do a video topic about two quarterbacks that are intriguing in the league today, who came in as rookies and made somewhat of an impact on both of their teams, respectfully. That will be Jalen Hurts and Tua Tagovailoa. I want to do a small little comparison and contrast of the two players and break down my opinion of the quote-unquote debate about those two. So Jalen Hurts started his career at Alabama in 2016. He was a freshman. I don't think there was a lot of hype about him coming out of high school, but they did use him as a scout player before they played Deshaun Watson in the national championship game. With that being said, the very next year he took over as signal caller against USC after Blake Barnett went down. His numbers were at best pedestrian. He was maybe 64% passing, 2,780 yards, 23 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. The staggering number that I looked up and found out that his yards per attempt was 7.3 as a freshman. His sophomore year, they went to 8.2. What? No, go out. His sophomore year, his numbers dwindled. Went down to 2,061, 17 touchdowns and 1 interception. Now, to many, that may be productive, but given the wide receiver class that he had, he should have put up way better numbers than that. At that time, he had Devontae. No, that wasn't Devontae. He had. Look here now, we can't compete with the door. He had Calvin Ridley. He had Robert Foster, Cam Sims, and he also had an incoming freshman by the name of Jerry Jeudy, who was beginning to have a decent role on the team. So the following year, which would be 2017, as a sophomore, as I said again, he didn't put up staggering numbers. So, of course, they went out on a recruiting trail and they landed Tua Tagovailoa, who burst on the scene in 2018. As a freshman, Tua pretty much had mop-up duty because the majority of that year, the defense was really good. In fact, let me backtrack a little bit. 2016, the year that Jalen Hurts was a freshman, that defense arguably was the best defense in college football history. They literally shut down people, and I watched them do it. The only game that irritated me the most was the national championship game against Deshaun Watson. That game right there, they had 99 plays against our defense because Hurts' inability to complete passes on third downs and our inability to score, which is a big deal. Don't do that no more, which is a huge deal in terms of allowing us to move the ball up and down the field and score with Clemson. So with that being said, again, Tagovailoa came on the scene in 2018. He did come into the national championship game for Jalen Hurts after Hurts completed 21 passing yards. That was it. So from there, they inserted Tua. Long story short, we came back from a 13-point deficit to beat them 26-23 in overtime after a 41-yard ball was delivered from Tua to Devontae Smith to secure our national championship. Don't leave him in that room, man. He in there. So won that championship, and then of course the question swarmed about whether or not Tua should start the following year. Nick Saban, to his credit, he kept the critics wondering, and eventually against Louisville Week 1, he answered the questions with starting Tua, which will be Tua's sophomore campaign. Interesting fun fact: Tua completed 69% of his passes that year, and he threw for 3,966 yards, 43 touchdowns, and just 6 interceptions. Um, Tua that year should have won the Heisman, but he was snibbed. There you go. Now your remote works. But he was snibbed by Kyler Murray, who they felt was on a worse team and put up better numbers, which actually he didn't, because him and Tua put up damn near identical numbers, except Tua was much more efficient. Um, 2018 was a very, very highly productive year for Tua. In fact, it put him on the map. Uh, if he was not a sophomore, he should have went first overall that year in that draft, but he couldn't go into the draft. So in comes his junior year, which is Hurts' senior year. Junior year, he battled through a lot of injuries. The most notable would be his finger and then his ankle, the left and the right one, which occurred between two different years. And then, of course, he had the dreadful hip injury at Mississippi State, which basically put him out the rest of the year. But he still threw for over 2,800 yards, 33 touchdowns, and 3 picks. So, in a nutshell, in just 3 years of playing Alabama, he had 87 total touchdowns to just 11 interceptions. Wow. So, overall, his collegiate career was highly productive. And he put up nearly 7,000 passing yards in just 3 years. And in the 2018 season, when he put up those 3,966 passing yards, 10 of those games he was out in the fourth quarter. He just sat on the sideline while the backups played. So, had he been actually playing any of those fourth quarter games, he would have went well over 5,000 yards passing. But because you don't want to get him hurt and you got to play smart, Nick Saban opted to, put him on the sideline during the fourth quarters of 2018. So, Hurts, on the other hand, he got a chance to redeem himself in 2018 against the Georgia Bulldogs in the SEC championship game after Tua went down with a right ankle injury that sidelined him for the rest of the game. He did bring us back. We were down by 7. We was only down by 7. It was 28-21. He scored. We stopped him. He marched the ball down the field with some incredible passes, clutch performing passes to convert third downs, and then he scrambled into the end zone to seal the deal to get us a win. A lot of people like Skip Bayless will say, "Oh well, Jalen Hurts brought them back." We was only down by 7. We were not down by 21, 28 points. As a matter of fact, when Tua got injured, he was actually marching him down the field, and it just so happened his own player stepped on his leg, and that's what put him out. So this whole assumption that Tua was playing bad, no, the interceptions he threw, one of them, the safety actually read the play the right way and broke on what he thought he was going with the ball. The other one was a fluke interception. So it was not bad play by Tua at all. He still threw for over 270 or 280 yards in that game with 2 touchdowns. One of them being a 51-yard, I think it was a 51-yard crossing route that Waddle took down the sideline for a touchdown. So he was not playing terrible in that game, no matter what Skip Bayless tells you. But he wants to give Hurts the credit because Hurts scored 14 points in the fourth quarter. Kudos to him, but at the same time, we were not down by a bunch of points. Unlike the national championship game, we were down by 13, which is not a lot. It's only 2 possessions. But when you think about the way Hurts is playing, he was on pace to throw for 96 yards the entire game. And we would have lost that game probably 21 or 28 to nothing because our defense would have wilt and we would have got smoked. So Tua sparked that 2018 national championship game and got us, 4 touchdowns to beat Georgia. So, because he threw 3 touchdowns in the game. And then they kicked the field goal to bring. I think they brought him within one or maybe two, and then it brought him within three, and then after that, Tua threw that bomb to Devontae Smith to seal the deal. But their collegiate careers are nowhere near comparable. Of course, Tua's the better passer, but he's a dynamic athlete who runs first regardless. He's not going to throw the ball if his first read is taken away. Tua will actually survey the field, which brings me to another point in terms of his rookie year in Miami. If you look at both of their numbers, Hurts barely completed 50% of his passes, whereas Tua completed 64%. Their actual overall numbers are pretty identical because for one, Tua, he had games where he threw for 94 yards. Then he had games he put up over 100. Then he had games he put up 300. Hurts had 4 games and I think he put up 200 once, and the rest was like barely 100-point games, 100-yard games of passing because he ran the ball a whole lot in some of those games, in those 4 games that he played. So that's how their numbers match up. Touchdown-wise, it don't match up at all. Tua had 11. He could have more than that. And Hurts had 6. Hurts had 4 interceptions. Tua had 5. So Tua finished 11 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Jalen Hurts finished 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, which is not that bad in terms of a rookie thing, but in terms of the impact, there's no doubt that Tua, for whatever reason, some of his teammates don't like the way he played, but to me, he sparked that offense. He gave them chances. And for all those who say he's a check down quarterback, clearly you don't watch the game because there's a lot of plays where he went deep and he went over the middle, and then he hit the sidelines. So he was never looking to dump it off. That was even if the running back was wide open, that was his very last option. He wanted to push the ball down the field. Now I've seen Hurts throw it in straight to the DB after the guy was actually open a while ago. But because he missed him, he would, panic and throw it to the defender. Especially in that Cowboys game when they could have won the game. But to me, this is my take on Jalen Hurts. His leadership skills are not in question. For me, it's the ability to actually read defenses and get the ball where it has to be. That's why I question him the most at. Because the majority of his collegiate career, he would look at he was a one-read runner. He would look to that first read. If it wasn't there, he took off on the right side and just took off down the field. It seems like in the pros, he's been doing the same thing because a lot of those games you can see receivers get frustrated because he refused to throw the ball, even when they're clearly open on the route. Now with Tua, the thing is with him, what he deemed open, what the NFL has open is two different things. That's what made him hesitate in some games to throw the ball. But once he got comfortable with that analogy and concept, you saw he started to release the ball. And he started hitting those open windows that were there. Perfect example. The Dolphins played the Chiefs, right? So the fourth quarter, the Dolphins outscored the Chiefs 17-0. In that quarter, he hit Gronkowski over the middle into the end zone, 32 yards away, over 3 defenders, including Thornhill, who was in perfect position to actually pick the ball off, but the ball got taken from him by Gronkowski, who was literally in between the 3 defenders. Whereas Tua made up his mind from the jump. After he beat the guy, he made it up from the jump. I'm going to throw it right into the window, and he did. And he was rewarded with a touchdown. Now, flip that coin. Against the Chargers, he threw a pass to Hollins. Highly ill-advised pass because the linebacker had broke on his passing lane. He literally was right in the middle of it. Right dead smack between him and Hollins. Somehow Tua got the ball right between his hands as they closed and completed it right into the belly of Hollins. Highly ill-advised pass, but nonetheless it was completed. That's a play that needs to be talked about by the coaching staff. And they need to reiterate to him, you cannot do that because that could have been an easy interception. But nonetheless, he got lucky and the ball got to where it's supposed to be at. Now, flip it to Hurts. I didn't really see a lot of his games as the Eagles quarterback. But from what I did see, like I said, I saw the game where he threw, 2 interceptions. I saw parts of that game. I saw the Cardinals game where he played pretty good. And he had a rushing touchdown. He had a passing touchdown. I also saw the Packers game where he had a passing touchdown, but he also threw an interception. He also got sacked. Um, he had a subpar rookie season. Can't label him a bust because he wasn't the first round quarterback taken, but for good reason. Because his inability to pass the ball hinders him. He's a tremendous athlete, great upside and all that stuff, but until he actually gets comfortable with actually learning the playbook and learning how to pass in open lanes, he'll be an unstoppable force as a quarterback because he can use his legs, and then once he brings his arm along, once he's able to train his mind to bring his arm along, he'll be the complete quarterback that you'll have a hard time stopping. But for now, I think he highly relies on this athleticism because it's notable in some games. But like I said, especially when guys know they're open and he still won't throw it, and you can see the frustration. Like, I'm not running these routes for nothing. I mean, I know I'm getting open. You still ain't gonna give him the ball because he's looking to whatever his primary read is, and he won't look off, or he won't look off the safety, and that gives him time to bear down on what he's trying to do and get to where the ball is supposed to be at to pick it off. So, as a QB, he has plenty more room to improve, but the two guys themselves are special talents. I don't see what the big deal is in terms of like always trying to put one down in front of the other, but facts are facts. Alabama performed way better with Tua than Jalen. Now people kill me with this. Oh, he was 26-2 in 2 years. Yeah, but what did the other side of the ball do? Meaning his defensive unit. Were they not the best those 2 years? Let's call a spade now. In those 2 years, his defense held it down. They shut down a lot of people. They stopped a lot of people. As a matter of fact, I looked at the stats of their defensive proficiency. Their plus minus was off the charts. They held a lot of teams under 200 yards total. It's only like one or two teams that, like Missouri and Arkansas, that I saw that was able to get a plus. Other than that, everybody else got negatives. And I'm talking about negative 260, negative 270, negative 200, so on and so forth. Because that defense was that ferocious. And Deshaun Watson found out firsthand twice just how dangerous that defense can be. Now, to his credit, he did beat us that 2016 national championship, but that's only because our offense was so bad that we literally couldn't even move the ball like we wanted to. And because of that injustice, we did not secure that. Stop, boy. Now, come on, if you're going to come up here, now stop playing with that thing. Stop now. Go that way. And because of that, we were not able to beat them. But if you inserted two in that game, we win easily. Our offense was too powerful to be stopped. As a matter of fact, they had Bo Scarborough back then. So picture him and Calvin Ridley and Tua and Robert Sims and Robert Foster. And I forgot the other guy we had that was a slot receiver. And also had Jerry Jeudy. So picture all them guys. No. Jerry Jeudy wasn't there in 2016. I'm sorry. He came when Tua was a rookie or freshman, which was 2018. So Waddle, Jeudy, Ruggs, and Smith were all freshmen in 2018. So, and Hurts actually had them before Tua took over as a starter that entire season. Hurts had that quadruplet of receivers, and he could not put over 3,000 yards, and he couldn't put together 30 touchdowns. And the saddest part of it is that his yards per attempt, like I said, was 7.3. which means he didn't even think or he didn't even attempt to throw it down the field, even after guys was super wide open and outrunning their opponents. He still refused to put it down the field, which staggered our offense, which made teams play us with the same defense, which was basic cover one, and they locked us up. Especially that Clemson squad, they literally locked us up. For that matter, so did Georgia, because I mean that game right there, they played us exactly how our defense would play our offense, and because of that, we barely mustered 50 yards of total offense the first half. Like I said, the stat line read that we had 21 passing yards through 2 quarters. I think for the entire game, we had like 190 passing yards. It would have been a lot more, but I mean, you know, Tua had like 168, or I think it was either 168 or 180, with 2 touchdowns with 2 touchdowns. Actually, no, he had 3 touchdowns. Like I said, he threw the game winner to Devontae Smith. But those two, I mean, do I think they'll be great in the pros? Absolutely. But it's all about work ethic. And right now, like I put in my other video, Tua is working. I don't know what Hurts is doing. I have no idea, but I'm hoping that's what he's doing as well. In the NFL, you cannot rest on what you did last year or last week. You have to stay in constant grind mode. Otherwise, you will be put in the grind and you will be out of there. So I'm praying that next year both of them be productive. But if I had to put a certainty on one thing, I don't think Hurts is gonna remain in the league for a while. I think after like a year or two, he's probably gonna be out because he's gonna revert back to what he used to do in college, which may end up getting him in trouble. But anyway, guys, I'm gonna let you go on that note. Like the video if you whether you agree or disagree, leave your comments, and don't forget to subscribe as well. All right, guys, peace.